has great teamfight value, and it's just a very versatile mid laner. Jojo, I mean, you were saying it earlier, it's one of his most played from Winter Hysterics, and as we move over to the red side, FNATIC now have priority around what they want to get in the jungle, along with their kind of choice of AD carry.
Yeah, I think the Varus pickup is probably a nice one. The only thing is, as Ruler is all too familiar with, the Azir can do quite wondrous things against the Varus when it comes down to it. So maybe wanting something that has a little bit more survivability, and that maybe opting in towards like a Zyra Khan here may also be an option if you want to, but we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is here for FNATIC.
I mean, they could just lock in their mid. Something like an Ahri Zin could be solid.
Yeah, true.
Maybe they want a little bit more setup.
Okay.
No, they're just going to go for the Varus. I think that's completely fine. We already talked about how, in terms of lane dominance and scaling, also in terms of builds, you have a lot of flexibility with what you do with this one.
So while Jungle started the conversation in game 2, let's quickly hit on another one. Sejuani that was taken away in the later bans last time as well. AP jungle was like the Lilia as an option, but you've already got Azir mid. We're starting to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, but I always like this with Fearless. What else you got for Razork? Oh, sorry, for El Yoyo in this case.
Yeah, I think the Sejuani is kind of what you're looking at, because you want something that's a bit more frontline orientated, especially if you're going to go towards the Jinx as well. So
Lulu?
Yeah, I just think you take the Sejuani here. That offers you your non-committal engage coming through from the jungle. You can provide that front line, and then you can always opt in towards things like the Leona later or something along that to kind of add to that wheelhouse of just having that beefy front line.
It's not happening, guys. It's not. Calm down. It's not Broxah, all right? Go and watch his streams. Here we play Sejuani, and it makes sense with the Azir paired up nicely.
This time around, I was going to say I expect mid laner to be locked in. I don't think Humanoid wants to be as pinched as much as he was in the previous game. I think that Corki pick in the matchup was fine, but in the context of the comp, limited what FNATIC could do in the mid to late game. And Talia just gives you so much options, and it pairs very nicely alongside the Zin, along with giving you good push and priority in the early game.
Well, what's your thoughts on the Jinx early here? Because I'm not a big fan, because you get to basically rotate a Lulu Braum ban on this next one, and then what do you actually pair with the Jinx? Unless you want to go something like Renata, but that feels a little bit off to me as well. This Jinx suddenly feels very vulnerable on the bottom side of the map, especially if Chains of Corruption starts to come up, if you end up taking a Leona. Like, I'm not sure on the Jinx.
On the side of FNATIC could be...
Yeah, exactly, yeah, same idea.
I mean, Yuumi could be the possibility on the side of Koi. It depends how much they want to go in terms of scaling. The Olaf towards Oscar, for those that don't know. Oscar is a bit of an Olaf player throughout his career. He loves to have access onto that backline and to just be able to run champions down like the Jinx before she has an opportunity to get her passive activated.
We have seen Karma top from Mirwin. Just putting it out there that Enchanter in a different lane could also help a comp that has double
Karma support could also be a possibility.
And you're right, you could throw that in there as well. Things like the Olaf to run it down in lane seem pretty volatile. Gnar also taken off, which could have been a fish there by the Olaf too.
I'm shocked they didn't take the Lulu ban, unless they want to pair Lulu for Mickey in the bottom lane, but I don't think you have enough engage. So, like, the way I saw FNATIC's draft playing out here was ban the Lulu, you take the Leona for yourself. Yeah. That kind of forces Alvaro to maybe go for something like the Rakan on that opposite side, and then you can go from there.
If they pick Lulu, then they have an easy Blitzcrank angle. They also have
Pike
for Mickey.
Yeah.
Nautilus, like, I think they're saying, like, we don't care if you pick Lulu.
Their pick is insane on that as well. Just picking support here. I mean, that throws that option out the window.
I mean, they want to give counter pick on the top side, but like Nautilus is the safest of the three that we talked about. But the idea is Pike, Blitz, Nork. Nautilus is just a hook champion into kind of pushes you away from things like the Lulu. So instead, Koi is just going to go for full frontline. This is a full front-to-back teamfight composition. I think that the great thing about Ornn is it's very easy to set up around objectives because of the long-range ultimate that you have, and also just great scaling.
Yeah, the problem that I have with the Nautilus, though, is that you end up losing the support matchup in this one, so I would have actually liked to swap the other side, but that's a Gwen for Oscar Renin, so this is definitely a composition that just wants to try and run you down, and it's going to be on Mickey to provide that point-and-click ultimate to get things started for FNATIC.
And I've had a lot of faith in Oscar Renin. Last game, he was blazing, but like throughout playoffs so far, Oscar Renin,
he's been fantastic.
You guys have been telling me week in game number 1, we see if Koi can fight back. The Spanish fans are out in force as usual. And Koi has once again given us similarities, gents. Like, we've got a front-to-back comp again. We've got an easier-to-execute composition. Remember, we criticized FNATIC for the last game, how hard it was to face-check some of these objectives. Ornn, Sedge, Leona again. Their engage is perfect once more.
Yeah, coming into this week, had a great conversation with Odo Omni about how champions can basically make space for your team.
Yep.
And the idea is being that when a champion walks at you, how much do you have to respect it, right? And so if you think of some champion like Talia and she walks into a brush, no one's going to be afraid of that.
Yep.
They're just going to immediately pop the Talia. But Ornn, Leona, these are champions that you have to respect, because if you're sitting in a brush and they walk up to it, like they either have to back away or there's the very real risk of an engage coming through. So KOI have great tools to re-engage on an objective even if they're second to it. The biggest problem that this composition has is early game agency. When it comes to early skirmishes, it's very difficult for them to actually fight against this Talia and Xin Zhao with a Varus and Nautilus on top of that.
And that's why it's fantastic here that FNATIC actually called the lane swap from MOVISTAR KOI. So we are going to have those standard lanes, and instead it's actually going to be Mirwin who needs to basically leg it down to this bottom side of the map, because as both AD carries show on top, I think FNATIC going to be delighted that Oscar should, in theory, be able to get the waves that he needs.
You know, and just trudging down there. Yeah, again, you're right. As a Gwen, I'm sure I'd be super happy just to be in light of the wave in a lane swap meta.
That's 3 minions already gone in terms of XP.
He got all of them, didn't he?
I mean, admittedly, Mirwin did get some XP, which means that JoJo's level 2 is going to be a little bit delayed in the mid lane. Maybe Humanoid can utilize that.
True.
But yeah, it's this mid-jungle duo that you're really going to have to keep your eyes on, especially when Mickey gets unlocked on the map. One of the biggest strengths that we praised FNATIC for in the early regular season was Razork and Mickey's ability to pair up together and start making stuff happen on the map. And this is the type of composition that really thrives in that environment.
Don't you think it's funny, however, that we've got two junglers who... You guys used the word engines before. I look at Elyoya and what he's been doing for KOI, and while he is a bit of the driving force, I would consider him the engine as well. I know we talked a lot about Upset being that for FNATIC. It's good dredge line, even under turret. Barrier comes out of super. Worried a little bit about the burst.
But look at where Razork is on the map. That's now a very big summoner spell down for Supa, and you have the opportunity for Razork to immediately move up towards this top side. So this could be a potential issue already for MOVISTAR KOI. And even in the mid lane, you can see Humanoid. He's happy to trade hyper aggressively here because he knows he's got the biscuit advantage. You know, inspiration tree hysterics. You were highlighting that in the
circle time. 1, 2. Count with me, chat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 inspiration trees.
Yeah, and no little snacks for JoJo to really work his way through. So he has to go for the reset as well. But if Humanoid can basically trade as hyper aggressive as he is and heal off of having access to that extra health off the biscuits, he's going to be in an okay shape.
I'm glad again we can see Oscar and Flourish. Mirwin gets the push in, and of course natural bases here with Grasp. Mirwin does have a little bit of a burst, remember. They already talked about it. My bloke's next to me talking about the scaling here and how unbeatable she'll be, especially if she gets time in the sun. Meanwhile, Alvaro, Dredgeline's going to pull him in. Razork's here, level 4. Wind becomes lightning, and this Leona's tanky enough, though. Alvaro flashes away, but it's match. Razork might be first meat, first blood, first dead, as Mickey is now amongst 3. At Permafrost, almost in range, but Mickey's Shield of Daybreak and melee support is freshly done as Super gets his second kill. Big play for KOI in the early game.
The wind becomes lightning, missed on towards Supa, so Razork actually couldn't get access to the prime target in this. And in that position, you have so much CC between Elyoya and this Leona, there's nothing FNATIC can do.
I mean, prioritizing Alvaro in this situation means that, I mean, yes, Supa's under no threat, so when the re-engage comes through from KOI, it's very easy for them to turn this fight around. Funneling those kills onto Supa is massive. The idea should be that Xin has that early power, especially when paired alongside a Varus, but if the Leona is who you're going to hit, Aftershock along with the W, I mean, she is incredibly durable.
And this is why I would have liked to see that Leona taken earlier, because Leona is so strong in this matchup. You end up popping the W, and you're just able to trade hyper aggressively in the matchup because Nautilus just doesn't have enough sticking power, and now Oscar Rinnan's in trouble.
Sticking power against the wall. Oscar Rinnan stuck there, popped, and Mirwin gets a kill of his own. KOI are alive in this game, too early game.
I was expecting...
He goes in because he knows Alvaro's here, but might be in a bit of trouble. JoJo gets poked out. Humanoid the same, though, and a nice little weave in that almost costs the health.
But it's Alvaro and Elyoya that right now are making plays on the map. A really nice punish on the top side of the map onto Razork, and now this time on the bot, Oscar running the Ghost meant that once the chain CC came through, it was very difficult for him to create space between Mirwin and Elyoya. Ultimately, 3 kills now secured for Koi.
And 2 of them on towards Super. This Jinx already accelerated, makes things significantly easier for her now. Even just in that 2v2 matchup, Mickey and Upset can't really contest. And as well, as you start to get more of that AD, you can look for these ultimates that suddenly become game-changing in this early stage.
Our Challenger chat knows that if the carries get ahead in the front-to-back comp, makes things a hell of a lot easier for the rest of the game to come. Alvaro not caught out by Mickey, who's trudging into the dredges of enemy jungle with Razork by his side. Quick side note, you know, you guys talking about the tankiness of Alvaro before. 20 bonus armor and MR on level 1 W, by the way. That seems fair with a 8 flat damage reduction. Just a reason why he survived and why early game for Koi is going so well. They're going to do it again. Watch it. With an eclipse in his eyes, Alvaro, not the target this time, but Super spaces them out. They keep doing this. FNATIC are like, I see them. I must kill them. But no. Koi are going to chase them down. Razork lucky to get out of that one, but 4 kills early, and FNATIC just did the same bad play again.
Yeah, it's the same problem. I mean, 1, LEO's been doing a fantastic job of tracking where Razork is to be in a position to follow up on this, but 2, this Leona is always going to beat out the Nautilus. The way you play this matchup is you end up playing defensive as Nautilus. You hook the Leona out of her Zenith Blade so then you can play the fight, but now you're 2 levels down as Mickey and trying to hard force into topside with Oyoya here again.
There's 4 here under turret with Call to Forge got available as well, and a Permafrost only lacking 1 auto. Mickey gets in the way, that's nice, but he might die for it. A searing charge and a death to remember. Flash from Mirwin is brilliant. Upset had his number and Alvaro's too as they get out of dodge. Trying to run up is Humanoid. He's got a mana bar to do so. Mirwin in the trudges as well. Humanoid finds his target onto Alvaro. He tanks it up, Zenith Blade in. He might just have to die, so Super survives, but a sizing shove all the way back. Barrier in tow. Upset will find him with an auto. 2 kills for FNATIC. They fight back.
FNATIC finally get themselves onto the board after a snowball that was being generated by Koi was running out of control. Nice ulti comes in from Humanoid, but this initial play from Mirwin, the ulti doing so much work to set up the play on Razork. Mickey trying to act as defender for his jungler works, but he ends up losing his life. If it weren't for this play from Humanoid, 5 kills to 0 would have been a disastrous spot for FNATIC.
I still think it's pretty disastrous regardless. I mean, it's nice that they get 2 back, and it will be the shutdown on towards Super as well that goes across the Upset. But again, like, you're looking at a poke Varus who's getting these shutdowns. Like, the Talia is not really going to follow carry the fights. It's kind of Oscar Rinnan who has to be that main carry in these fights for FNATIC. And MOVISTAR Koi know which way their bread is buttered. They're just going to continue to play around Super.
And they got plenty of butter at this point. A searing charge dodged away from by Oscar Rinnan. I thought he popped the ulti there, but no. 4 members of Koi now setting up around this turret. Respect given over by Oscar, because again, that could have been another dive. The best skin of the game, yes it is. Choo choo! Well, 3 plates, that's a given. Mickey comes in finally, very much needing experience when you compare him to Alvaro. So he'll pop level 5 at the end of that wave, but still, early gold lead over to Koi. 3 kill Jinx as well. And yes, Upset balanced some of that, but as you guys were saying, it does still feel like Koi, they've got buttered bread. Well done, Dagda.
I will say I am a little surprised that Upset's going for the poke build rather than the on-hit build.
Yeah,
when you have so much of a front line, I was expecting it more to be front to back, especially when you pair it up alongside the Gwen to be able to melt through these tanks. With the lead that Koi have, like, they're putting themselves in a great position because now they can just choose to slow the game down. Because if you just remain even from this point, your carries are just in such a great spot. Remember, their main win condition is, it doesn't matter whether they're first on the objective or second. All that matters is that their carries stand behind their front line and it's just a front-to-back fight.
And they're also constantly swapping this Jinx into Oscar into this stage to just look for more of these plates. So again, all that they're trying to do is shove as much gold into this Jinx and let her be that late game carry. And meanwhile, like, you're getting Jojo Pyun, who's getting all that free time in mid. He has no pressure on him. And FNATIC are backpedaling, constantly trying to keep pace with MOVISTAR Koi. Again, like, look, they've now moved Upset down towards the bottom side, but you're going to get that push from Mirwin in the top lane, which means he's avoiding the bad matchup. And it's constantly rotating like this, where MOVISTAR Koi are actually avoiding all these issues. And look, again, reset once more on both of top and boss, and they're just going to swap them again. They just want to avoid them at every point of the conversation.
And it's only going to get worse as well, right? Because Mirwin, as they keep doing these swaps and they keep being ahead in said tempo, a League of Legends player's favourite word, Mirwin will have the Hollow Radiant, so he'll insta-clear as well as that Ornn. And as Oscar Rinnan once again makes the move himself, I just like it. We're just playing this game of footsie that FNATIC seem to be right now losing out in. 1 minute 42 grubs, by the way, that KOI already picked up in the early game. That next dragon in 2 minutes 30, FNATIC already had one of those two.
You'll notice as well on the minimap, Varus and Gwen both pathing towards mid in the event that they went back to standard lane, so they want to be able to match if they can. This time around, Varus going to be pathing up towards top, and it is KOI that is always one step ahead. FNATIC playing catch-up. Alvaro may be able to find a pick, but Upset takes the safe path.
And that's where, again, like, now that Mickey's shown on this, you have to be so careful as Upset if you show on top side, because there's an opportunity that you can split the map through this jungle and then try and go for this dive on towards Upset. But MOVISTAR KOI aren't able to get into position ahead of time, but still, it's push and move, push and move. Yeah. All the MOVISTAR KOI are playing, and it's an incredibly fast pace, but it's super difficult to keep up with.
You're just going from one restaurant to another, but you're not paying the bill right now. 50 seconds till those grubs spawn.
But see, again, you have to back away, because look at where Upset is. He knows that he can't actually link up with Razork and Mickey as long as MOVISTAR KOI end up taking over that objective. So he's now again late on the wave, and you're just getting to push here as MOVISTAR KOI.
One of the biggest things about these grubs is that Mickey's still only level 5. He's a full level behind Alvaro. The reset has come through from Alvaro to replenish his stock of wards. He's gotten himself another control ward as well. I think this is a very difficult objective to contest if you're FNATIC. Nice interrupt onto Oscar, because if they were going to fight, he's the person that you really want involved in that topside skirmish, especially given that he hasn't completed that Nash's Tooth just yet.
I think if you're FNATIC, you have to give up these void grubs though. Like, the amount of vision control that's there is a little terrifying, but they're still fishing here.
Don't fight here at the least. Mickey, be careful of that brush. It's hurt them twice, and Razork knows so. Dredgeline in, again, the exact same spot. Alvaro turns it. He's got a solar flare onto Mickey again. FNATIC gets shoved away. That's Jojo disengaging as Razork can't do anything, and Super gets the reset. Cyclone Shove flushed away from his Upset, tries to carry the fight on the back end. Super chases him down while Oscar starts sending out the needles. Snippy time. Humanoid sends some rocks as well. It's all about projectiles and the environment. But as we get away from global warming, we see Humanoid run over by a damn train. Cole versus the planet, and it looks like it's a whole mess of action.
It ends up being a one fight still for FNATIC. Well, I say one fight. Mickey's death time was so short, he actually came back. 2 for 2, my apologies. And in terms of the objective, it's still available. Oscar low HP as both DPs are used. Supports are already making their way back out onto the map. Razork going to start off the grubs.
But I do agree with you, Vetty. Like, from the position it was in, it's a one fight for FNATIC. They never should have had an opportunity to trade even and get the void grubs. This is huge for FNATIC, and a large proponent of this was the fact that the fights were so around.
KOI just going to start up the grubs, and as Razork sits in the back of the pit, 4 at bare minimum, looks like maybe even 5 for KOI in this early game. So even after all said and done, still feels like their early game continues on. We'll look at the replay here quick, Vetty, and see how this started in the same spot. 3rd time's a charm.
So crucially, it's a numbers disadvantage to start off. While the TPs are available, the Nautilus doesn't have level 6 yet, so he immediately melts. A lot of resources are invested onto the Nautilus though, so when the re-engage comes through from FNATIC, look how confident Oscar can play. He knows that there's very little that he has to be afraid with, and so he forces out the Orn, he forces out Jojo. The wall completely disconnects the supporting staff, and that means that it turns into a 3v4 on the top side. Ultimately, as we said, it ends up being a 2 for 2, but the re-engage from FNATIC goes to show that some of the scaling elements of things like the Gwen and the CC that this composition has means that FNATIC definitely not out of this game just yet.
Yeah, especially how quickly they got to that fight made things significantly easier. The double TP coming through very fast, and now FNATIC knocking down that bot lane turret to answer for the top one. Mid lane still under a lot of pressure. This is still a game that can go either way, but it feels like, again, you still got that ticking time bomb of Supa. 4 kills, Yuntal now completed.
Yeah.
He is still very strong, and especially once he starts to get towards things like the Runin's Hurricane, and you set up that front to back from MOVISTAR KOI, that's where he'll be a threat. But that's also where we saw the last game fall apart for MOVISTAR KOI, was inability to set up these front to back team fights successfully.
True.
I feel so much of this is going to hinge on Oscar, just because he does change the landscape of a front to back. The slows come through. Mickey's on his way. Level 6 now.
It's annoying that you can't order that. Oscar just takes it with him. As you said, Mickey is the engage. Jojo has his ulti available. Dredgeline misses, though. Depth charge instead. The hard command. They're looking for the true damage. Ulti comes out, and Jojo disengages. He's alive for another day.
I think Mickey should have just been a little bit more patient. Start with the ulti and then connect the hook. Probably would have given them enough CC to actually get that kill, so a bit of a misplay there from Mickey. Herald now spawning in about 45 seconds as KOI set their sights to the bot tier 1.
He does have as many deaths as KOI have as FNATIC have in kills, rather. So that's just to be noted here. There's going to be another turret going down. And with Gwen on the other side of the map, right now FNATIC are hoping they can do the same thing, but not going to be as quick with one grub. It's FNATIC now roaming around mid, but KOI are looking to sandwich.
It's also because Mickey committed to top side, no ult now, and MKOI want to just continue to put pressure, make sure that you lose out on that bot wave. They take a bit of damage on towards this tier 2.
Sounds like Mr. Mackie. KOI. Okay, fantastic Mackie. For the old people in chat, I guess, is Humanoid. Oh, he almost super just sidesteps at Solar Flare, saved by his support. Alvaro doing a good job of protecting the president. KOI running away, but Razork jumps in. Arctic Assault and a Permafrost will keep him in place. Mirwin looking for a root as well, and Chains of Corruption flies out. A seismic shove again, but now Call of the Damn Train lines up, and through the passageway, FNATIC get bopped around. Ignite takes Mickey down. And KOI, the resilience in their fight, the constant engage, it never ends.
FNATIC are just always trying to overextend to find that pick, find that moment, but MOVISTAR KOI are just hiding behind these tanks over and over again, and you just don't have that same luxury here. As they start to pull through, you can see they look for the engage on towards Super. Good sidestep here to walk away from it, but not actually getting into position to have access now to that back line means that MOVISTAR KOI are in a much better position. You can see Super plays out of the fight looking for the ult constantly.
Really, I just think that Razork shouldn't have tried to force. I think that FNATIC ultimately got what they wanted, which was access back to the bot tower, and they were just disconnected because Humanoid and Mickey were on the right side of the play, whereas Razork is diving in over a wall with which his team really can't follow. So there was a clear disconnect for me in terms of how FNATIC wanted to execute that, and they just hand over another kill.
I don't know what champion that is. I don't know what the Squid champions are in League of Legends currently.
Lulu's in the pool parties.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that one. As Mickey's engaged on again, Alvaro takes this. Trench line hits back, though. It's a beautiful one. And from Mickey, might have set it up. The burst coming in, and Jojo's about to die, but Humanoid in the end!
He's alive!
He gets burned down, and Jojo survives. Alvaro's the new target. Trench line misses, as Oski now comes in, ready to sending the needles out. It's injection time! Jojo, have you had your shots? Oscar chasing him. His ghost is down, but as Jojo uses his fleet to gain some ground, he is now out. But Mirwin, unfortunately, the next stop is not here. It's far, far away, and FNATIC will just take him with ease and eventually give over the kill to one of these carries. Shut down over to Upset, and I love this game of to and fro.
It's another game of chaos as we see the fight initiated by KOI. A nice pick with a hook connected into the knockback, but Elyoya's target focus there was fantastic, locking down Humanoid and giving Jojo an opportunity to get a fantastic outplay. But then the TP flank comes in from Oscar, and again, Oscar arriving in the fight was the difference maker because so many FNATIC members are still alive. The moment that he joins the fight, it changes the entire landscape.
But again, look at where the tanks are positioned in these fights. You've got Elyoya going for a flank, which means he's not protecting on towards his backline, which is why Mickey can get the hook on towards Azir. It's the same when you look at where Mirwin is TPing into. He's now on the top side of the fight as FNATIC are chasing down in the front of the Baron pit. Consistently, MKOI are not setting up slow. They're trying to take these skirmishes, and that's not what this comp is set up for.
So the only question I have for you is, do you like jazz? Because that's not it. This is rock and roll. Mickey with the dredge line. Permafrost sent out. Now with the Glacial Prison sent as well. Those Chains of Corruption from Upset flung out on top of that. As Mirwin's now teleported in. We are A-ramming once again here in Europe. None of that NARAM business where URAM. All I can think about is MKOI, and they're set up from Mirwin. He's got his ult, he's level 11. He's in a perfect spot. Zoning out Mickey right now with a Hex Flash, while Dragon is the thought. FNATIC want their third.
Again, look at FNATIC set up. They're coming in from multiple different angles. MKOI can't really find one way into the pit because Mickey is constantly threatening the back line. They need to hard force through, but this is their moment.
Upset's damage is hurting Alvaro. One of their engagements almost kicked out. The wall is down, and Humanoid separates Oscar in, and he might have to charge through while Jojo one-man ulties. Oscar in is isolated, and he'll be taken first. Dragon now the thought for KOI. They're on top of it. FNATIC are bringing in the cavalry. Seismic shove away, and Jojo cannot stay. 2K the steal. No, at 5. Razork has staying alive, and now Elyoya is just going to follow suit. Shutdown after shutdown. FNATIC after FNATIC. They keep getting more.
This is how FNATIC want to set up a fight, and this is FNATIC coming alive in the series. Fantastically played in that engagement, and there's nothing Movistar KOI can do.
I mean, look at the engagement onto Oscar. Yes, he's isolated. Alvaro's already lost half his HP. The wall will come through and separate MKOI from the fight. Humanoid is then chipping away at Alvaro, chipping away at Elyoya, but look at the damage that he's able to do onto the backline. Super is now down to about 20-30% HP. Jojo has already used his ultimate, and FNATIC are full health bars. There's nothing that they have to be afraid of anymore. Oscar just bought a lot of time, bought a lot of resources, and then the re-engage comes through, and it's a one-team fight for FNATIC.
And this is the thing, FNATIC have been doing a fantastic job of just spreading out these fights, drawing Movistar KOI in multiple directions, and then you're able to find Oscar in the back line, Mickey threatening on towards Jojo Pun and Super with ultimate, so they have to run away. It's isolating these core parts of Movistar KOI so they can take them down.
And we haven't talked about him in this game, but let's just give ode to Humanoid, where every single fight, I feel like he's burning flashes or he's landing these seismic shoves. He might not have the kill credit, but like 7 out of 10 kill participation, Humanoid is a big part of the reason why these FNATIC picks are escalating further and further.
And now you have 3 dragons to FNATIC, a mountain soul potentially in the cards in 3.5 minutes. And Movistar KOI just haven't been able to play successfully through Super to enable him. He's still only got 1.5 items, whereas you're starting to see basically everyone of FNATIC matching him.
Yeah.
This Jinx just isn't accelerated anymore, and it's honestly struggling to get any sort of grip in these fights.
It's been so crazy. As Betty has said before, it's chaotic. But so was game 1. That's why this series already should be looking forward to the days to come, at least the games to come, I should say. At 20 kills at 21 minutes, Herald's going to be taken. FNATIC are zoning off. And Upset did this last fight as well. Alvaro got chunked before there was even a chance to think about an engage.
I mean, Upset's accuracy is impressive. I was skeptical of the lethality virus, but my man is making it work right now. He's able to get a nice snipe in the previous fight, and he is deathless so far in this game. The kill score is 10-10, but FNATIC feel like they are in the driver's seat right now. KOI, there are still ways in which they can win this game. When it comes to the objectives, they have room to be able to buy space by leveraging things like the Ornn ultimate. They have a lot of engaged tools. But again, as Dagda's been saying, if you don't get that front to back, FNATIC just have a lot of options when it comes to the fight.
And that's where I think you do need to try and play smart around your waves. You group up as 5, you push in mid, you lean in towards river, you deny the vision, but without actually playing around their wave state on mid lane, it's opened up opportunities for Mickey to look for flanks, for FNATIC to try and play off of those shortcuts Movistar KOI are trying to take. And now FNATIC, with this Rift Herald, want to see if they can crack up in the mid lane turret. You can see where Razork is just now starting to make his way in, but everyone of FNATIC's here.
And the poke you get to watch a second time around. Herald's going to be dropped down. Jojo's walking up from bottom. KOI might just have to defend this at the inner turret. This will be an easy charge. I mean, Super's trying to kill it before it gets anywhere near, but there it goes. Charges, dies, and gold just goes over to FNATIC. They escape now with a 3k gold lead.
And this is going to open up FNATIC now to keep that pressure in mid. They can lean across, set up vision, make it even more uncomfortable for Movistar KOI to get access to these objectives. But I feel like if FNATIC ever overextend, that's where the moment where Movistar KOI can try and fight back. If they are trying to take the fight in Movistar KOI's jungle, suddenly the value of Elyoya's Sejuani ult, Mirren's ultimate, Alvaro's ultimate, and just the forced front to back that would enable Super is where Movistar KOI can fight back. So you still aren't out of the woodwork yet as FNATIC. It's looking way more positive.
Bro, no one's taking their hands off the workbench at this point. I feel like in this series, I don't think they've seen outside for at least the past 3 hours. It has been a spectacle. I mean, this is nice when our top 4 is competitive, but I think even nicer when we see FNATIC starting to, I don't know, get over the woes and the slow hands of game 1. I don't know what you guys want to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. Versus PDS, we said the same thing. Mistakes?
Mistakes.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, because we've definitely seen some execution errors from FNATIC, especially in the early levels, and I definitely feel at times they're a little disconnected. But they feel confident when they're in winning position, as many teams often do.
Yeah,
but
I hope so.
as KOI is a team that's good at getting early leads and prone to throwing them away in the late game. FNATIC is a team that's usually good at making mistakes in the early game and then finding ways to regroup and bounce back.
The opposite.
But again, we're seeing nobody on the mid wave from MOVISTAR KOI. So now you have Humanoid set up to clear the wave and threaten.
And that wall as well that JoJo can't get around. Super flashes away immediately. Call the Forge God is good, but Super just needs one simple reset. Mickey won't give it to him until the rocket comes in. And now the range at play. LEC found a beautiful pick onto Razork, and away he goes. Super with the shutdown. Getting excited while Mirwin is zone controlling. Upset just needs to poke. The Dragon going down ever so slowly, and Oscar running in without his ulti. He's ready to snap onto Super. The damage is unreal. He rips, he shreds, and MOVISTAR KOI are going to bed.
Oscarinin changing the landscape of this fight. It looked like such a good front to back for KOI. They were able to keep their carries safe. They were able to have the front line tank the damage up. But look at how things play out. The Talia wall is going to come down. A beautiful hook from Mickey. Forces the flash out from Super. But here, it's looking like a one fight for KOI.
Yeah, it's the fact that the Talia wall ends up giving safety to JoJo, Pyun, and Super. It goes well. Razork ends up going down off the back of this, but it's FNATIC who just need a second to regroup. And Oscarinin, he sees his moment. JoJo and Mirwin out of the pit. He ghosts. He sees Super and just goes straight over the wall. Murders Super. And LEC is desperately trying to save him, but JoJo went for Humanoid rather than saving the back line. And now he's vulnerable as well. Misplays and missed decision making from MOVISTAR KOI come back to bite them.
And now it bites him in front of the Baron as well. Humanoid, like I said, doing due diligence with his seismic shove, and now a depth charge as KOI came here to soft contest. This time one doesn't hit from Humanoid, but FNATIC on the chase here. They've got a Mountain Soul, they cannot, and Upset's damage is going to rip and continue to do exactly what Oscar did before. The needlework zones him out, a shove once more. Call of the Forge God from Mirwin will both deck. And FNATIC are gonna look to set us up for match point.
Mickey's sneaky hooks have been crucial in this game. Bypassing the front line, hitting JoJo, Pyun. Upset follows up with the Chains of Corruption. They finish off the Azir, and they're just finding ways to worm around MOVISTAR KOI every single fight.
Another one fight, another secured objective. Upset remains deathless. He chunks out Super's HP, and Humanoid is there to follow.
Because he wants a pick, it's all it takes to seismic shove. Super didn't have flash, he's lucky to get away from that one, but again, maybe a little bit overhyped as the Baron is used well regardless. Upset, his range is brutal at this point, as Atakan goes down to the win of things.
It'll be the top lane going with it as well. It's the push from mid from FNATIC to keep MOVISTAR KOI interested, so Oscarinin can get full value before they reset with this Red Bull Baron power play. It's only going to be that bot lane structure that leaves outside of MOVISTAR KOI's base, but I think it may be just one brief moment still standing.
Now, I mean, we've been talking about this Gwen from start to finish, but with the death cap completed, I mean, right now he's 3 full levels, but soon it will be 2. The level ticked over. A 2 level 16 Gwen is just one of the most terrifying things to see.
He didn't even stop off for Riftmaker. He's just like, I'm going full murder with needles.
Oh, yeah.
If I just hit you, you die. Like, this is such a burst-heavy build going through from Oscarinin.
That front line just melts as well. Like, he did not make the Leona look tough whatsoever. And now FNATIC, they set their sights on the bot tier 2, the last structure that Dagda was just talking about. Razork, he's fishing a bit.
I mean, he has Atakan, so he's going to be extra fishy at this point as well. Maybe KOI are the ones who should be fishy because they can just walk up under this turret, 4 members strong. You look at mid, and once again, the needlework's going to fly out. Oscar is huge. And Upset as he walks forward might do the same thing. Who's going to die first? It's a game of catch and ball, but KOI must have forgotten how to catch it. In the end, Oscarinin almost taking down JoJo, opens up mid. The pick on bot opens up bot. And FNATIC with 10.5k want to end it right here.
It's not really catch and play if you're just looking for home run after home run from Oscarinin. The hook onto the Sejuani.
I wonder who lost the bat in the process. Called the Forge God is deflective at this point, but again, Atakan buff is still there, and LEC gets snapped in half. LEC and his mid laner are now down. MOVISTAR KOI, they might have had the early game, they might have had a semblance of power, but FNATIC, if there's a will, there's them. Match point in the lower bracket. This team always finds a way to survive.
The GGs come through.